My latest article in Spectator Australia is headed Man-Made Global Warming, Just Follow the Money. Well, where do you follow the money to? You follow the money to three particular places. First, to the political thugs in Beijing, who are billionaires, who are making a fortune out of global warming and laughing all the way to the bank. Second, to those in the West, often billionaires, very rich people, who are making a fortune out of global warming. And thirdly, to the politicians who've set up a system whereby, for example, on the East Coast, our gas is handed over at cheap prices to multinational corporations, and we haven't even reserved gas for the domestic market, which at least they do in Western Australia. And those politicians who, having set up that system, then find, for example, that they want to spend more time with their families, so they leave politics. And then they go and become lobbyists and make a fortune out of the business of global warming. The point is, in relation to global warming, particularly the catastrophic version of global warming, just follow the money. Now, the fact is, Australia is pushing a unique experiment in the world. So says Chris Kenny in The Australian on the 22nd of June. And what is that? Politicians have surrendered our prime economic advantage of cheap, reliable power. Chris Kenny says the nation has abandoned or surrendered our prime economic advantage. That's not true. It's not the nation, it's the politicians who've surrendered our advantage. Until the politicians' plan, we were a true energy superpower, exploiting the plentiful domestic energy, which is very cheap, and exporting vast amounts of coal, gas, and uranium to the world. Now, the politicians' plan, until Peter Dutton came along, was that we're not to use coal, gas, or uranium at home. We can export it, but we can't use it at home. The result is, and Chris Kenny says this, we're now in deep strife. We have a domestic energy supply and price crisis. Most Australians don't realise we're the only country in the world with such a plan, such an extraordinary plan. Now, why is it that most Australians don't know this? Chris Kenny there really lets the cat out of the bag. He says that most of the media push the Labor Greens teal line. In other words, it's a massive case of bias on the part of the media in relation to climate change. Not so much in the Australian, because the Australian is more balanced than most outlets. But there is massive media bias. And this, of course, results in Australians thinking, well, perhaps this is the wise thing to do. We're the only country in the world to sacrifice our advantages, surrender our advantages in terms of the massive energy we have, to still exporting it and stopping Australians from using those same resources. The fact is, the political class think that we Australians are stupid. And why is it that the political class think we're stupid? What they're actually saying is this: if we use our coal or gas at home in Australia, that will make the world warmer to some precise fraction of a degree that somebody in the United Nations can predict with great accuracy, although the Bureau of Meteorology has great difficulty often in predicting the climate on the next day or week or even this winter, which they've said will be dry and warm. And so far as I'm concerned, it's been extremely cold and wet. What the politicians are saying is if we use our coal or gas at home, it will change the climate. But if the Chinese, the Indians, the Japanese, all of our customers use our coal or gas, it won't affect the climate because we can still export to them. Well, isn't that ridiculous? Climate catastrophism resembles the fable of the emperor with no clothes. The fact is, if Donald Trump returns to the White House, it will be like the emperor with no clothes. Most of the people in authority know that global warming, at least to the point of being a global catastrophism, is a hoax. They know that. When Donald Trump returns to the White House, the effect will be, that will be the moment of truth, because Donald Trump will say to the world, global warming is a hoax, the United States is going to ignore it, and you can do what you like, but the United States will go ahead and use its fossil fuels.